Hey Facebook, it's Anna here. How you doing? Alright, I'm going to be very careful and very conscious to not block the, the microphone this time. Because I sometimes do that when I don't have my little earpiece thing in. So say hey when you jump on, let me know what you're up to. We're doing a second live stream today. I don't know what's going on. It's downloads happening and stuff that needs to come out and stuff that needs to be talked about, I think. So say hey if you're jumping on. I want to talk about rules. This is something that I've been kind of, touching on lately a little bit and breaking some rules, or especially around money mindset and around abundance and all that kind of stuff, right? It's what I've been talking about a lot. So I wanted to talk about rules because this is something that comes up quite often is when we have very specific rules, or what I would even call conditions around how something has to happen, right? So let me backtrack just a little bit, right? So when it comes to your rules, the stuff that you think, that you have in your mind set up as rules, or the things that you have set up as conditions, the thing to realize is that this isn't something that you're born with, right? When we're born, we're not born with an understanding of these are the rules in order to get to X, Y, Z, in order to do this, whatever, you have to go through A, B, and C and blah, 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 right? This is all stuff that, it's not actually a rule. It's not actually a thing that exists until we are born and until we have, our parents and everyone around us that influences us, that starts setting these conditions onto us, right? And we take it on because we're young and because we're easily influenced and because, we trust obviously our elders and that kind of stuff to lead us and, to teach us in the ways of the world, right? So we get to this point where we start taking on these rules, these conditions about how things have to be, and we start formulating what we believe about the world based on it, right? But the thing to do is sometimes to just backtrack and realize that none of that stuff is innate. None of the rules that we think are there, none of the conditions that we think are there are actually there. We have just created them. We have just taken them on and believed them, and therefore they are there now, right? And a lot of the time, unfortunately, we take on our parents or other significant others' conditions and rules as we go through life, right? And so we get to this stage where a lot of the time we can't even remember why we believe this or why we think like this, right? So the thing that I want to talk about, right, is tell me if this is like you, right? Whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on a replay, let me know. I grew up as an absolute little goody two-shoes, like completely. I fell hook, line, and sinker for every single adult that told me, these are the rules. If you follow the rules, then you'll be okay. Then you won't get in trouble. Then you won't, then you'll, get all the success. If you follow all the steps, if you, dot all your I's and cross all your T's, if you do everything according to these rules and these conditions, then you're going to succeed. I fell for it completely, right? Like that was me the whole way growing up. I just believed, everything that everyone told me about the rules. Like at school, I wasn't a goody two-shoes or like one of the people that was dobbing on people that were breaking the rules. That didn't interest me, right? To be honest, nobody else interested me. I didn't care what anybody else was doing. I was just really concerned with the fact that if I follow the rules, everything's going to work out perfectly for me. And I just assumed that if other people weren't following the rules, then their life was going to get all fucked up or whatever. But I was never the person that was like, oh, I have to go dob on that person. No, that didn't interest me, right? I just assumed that. I guess I kind of understood, like karma and that kind of stuff a lot earlier than most people did. And I just assumed, well, if they're breaking the rules, that's going to come back and bite them in the ass. Having gone through a lot since then and having grown up in my adult life, I realized that that's not exactly how it all works. We don't get what we deserve. We get what we believe we deserve. We get what we focus on, right? And it's perfectly capable of someone who is ripping people off and is, not following the rules and whatever, to have massive success and massive joy purely because they believe that they deserve it and that's what they believe, that's their focus above everything. So, whatever, you can take that as you wish. It can suck, or it can just be like, well, whatever, that's the laws of the universe. That's cool. However, so I went through school, like I almost had like a chip on my shoulder that I wanted to prove to everyone that if you followed all the rules, if you did everything right, if you didn't, step a toe out of line or anything like that, then you would be successful. Then you would win everything. Then you would get all of the joy and everything like that if you just followed the rules, right? That the rules are there for a reason, as you keep being told by, your teachers and everyone growing up, that the rules are there for a reason. They're there to protect everyone, and they're there to make it all fair, and they're there to, make it a level playing field, all this stuff. And I bought into it completely. Because I was too young at the time, right, to understand that there is no such thing as a level playing field. Like, I believed, oh my God, I loved exams. Like, exams were my favorite thing in the world, right? I want to know if this is like you. If you're on, let me know if this is resonating with you, if you were like this, or if you were the complete opposite, if you were the person who was breaking all the rules, in which case I'm friends with so many people like that now because I've changed my internal mindset, right? But I was completely the person who was like, I love exams because it's a level playing field. We all go in and then we're all tested on the exact same exam. You can't cheat. Well, not really. Like you obviously people do get away with it, but for the most part, it's very difficult to cheat on an exam. And I had this idea in my head that this is where it all breaks down. This is where it's all fair, where everybody just has the same opportunity. And, if you followed all the rules and you've done all the work and blah, 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 then you get to really prove yourself. I was too young back then, right, to understand that there is no such thing as a level playing field. What I thought was a level playing field didn't exist just because we all went to the same school or just because we were all taking the same exam. It does not mean that, that me, for example, going home, like say, I won't even talk about myself. I'll give an example of just random someone, right? Just because we all go to the same school and we all have the same exam does not mean that the person who goes home, who has a wonderful family life, who sometimes their parents even get them a tutor or something to help them, has the same level playing field as a person who goes home and their parents are fighting, or they're in what do you call it? They're in, they're divorced, or they're unhappy and they've got a really horrible home life, or their parents aren't very well off, so they are always out working and they're having to work 3 jobs, and the kid never has any support, any help with their homework, whatever, right? There's no such thing as a level fucking playing field. And so I really believed in that when I was younger. I really did. And so that was why rules to me were everything, right? I believed that if I just stuck to the rules, if I just did it all right, then that would be what success was. That would be what being a winner was all about, right? And so this is why this topic of rules and conditions and stuff fascinates me, because coming from a position where I was such a big fan of rules, and I was such a big fan of believing that if you just followed them, that the people breaking the rules were the ones that were fucking everything up, and that if you just followed the rules, and where these rules came from, who the fuck knows, right? But I believe that if you were the person who was following them, then you were the one that was a good person, right? And so over the years, right, something that I've come to believe is, believe and understand about, the laws of the universe and how things work and everything, is that rules were never there. They were there with the best intentions at a particular time, right? Because there was something going on that as humans, we therefore made certain rules or certain conditions about something to deal with a particular issue, right? And while it may have had the best intentions at the time, as we evolve, people keep passing on these rules and these conditions without really tuning in and going, is this something we still need? Is this something that's still benefiting us, right? So we still have all these rules and conditions around schooling, and how people have to go to school, and what subjects they have to learn and all this kind of stuff, because they have to go to uni in order to do this. And that was exactly what I believed. I just believed if I did all these steps, all these rules, I would end up in my job and I'd be happy, and that was that, right? And it wasn't until later in life that I realized, well, hold on, I followed all the rules. I did all these things. I went and did 2 degrees that I didn't end up using whatsoever, because it wasn't actually what I was meant to be doing, but I was just so busy following all the rules and following what everybody told me I should do, because this is just what has to be done, that I didn't get a chance to actually tune in and go, well, hold on, this isn't what I was meant to be doing at all along. I should have not even been at school with I got really high marks, and I was really intelligent and did, really well in everything. But that was purely because I just believed that's what I had to do, right? And so none of that mattered when I finally got to uni. None of that mattered when I was doing my degrees and everything like that. None of that was actually going to set me up for anything to do with my future, because it wasn't what I wanted. I knew all along deep down, if anybody had asked me, but what does your intuition say? What do you know that you're actually meant to be doing in this world? If someone had actually asked me that, I may have figured out that, well, what I'm meant to be doing is helping people, is supporting people, is inspiring and guiding and helping people create their lifestyles by design and not by default, and helping people to live their life on purpose and to do all of that. Like, that's what I've always been called to do. That's what I've always done. Even when I was in school, when I was doing all of this, I was basically like everyone's, like a counselor or psychologist, right? It was just what I naturally did. I just sorted out people's problems and I helped them to move forward in life. And if they were feeling stuck on something, or if they were feeling upset because a boyfriend or whatever broke up with them, I was the one that was able to like get into their mindset and just flip it around. Like, even at a young age of like, you have your 15-year-old boyfriend break up with you. Wow. But even back then I was like, do you understand that this isn't meant to be, right? The person who you're meant to be with is going to be amazing, and it's going to fit right with you, and it's not going to end in pain and all this kind of stuff. And even back then I already knew it, but nobody told me that, oh, guess what? You can actually just go do that. That can actually be the thing you do. You don't need to follow all the rules, and you don't need to go get a degree, and you don't need to do this, this, and this in order to say that you're worthy, of your purpose, right? I need to like write that down. You do not need to do anything in order to be worthy of your purpose. That is a good one, right? Because you are born worthy. You are born worthy of everything that is your birthright, everything that is within you, for you to create, for you to bring forth, for you to inspire others, whatever it is that you feel called to do. You are born worthy of that. That is your birthright. You have no rules, no conditions, nothing that you need to meet first in order to do that. And that's where, society gets into these rules and regulations of, well, in order to be a psychologist, you need to do this. In order to be a psychiatrist or whatever, you need to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And then drugs. Yeah, more drugs. But you are born worthy. If it is within you, if it is something that you feel called to do, then that is exactly what your purpose is. That is what you are meant to do all along. And it doesn't actually matter if you follow the rules or not. The conditions were there. They were just created by some other human at some time. You're just some other human at some time. You get to create your own conditions. You get to change your own rules whenever you want, right? And this is why this whole idea about rules and everything it just fascinates me now, because I just don't believe in them, right? When people tell me that, oh, well, this is just the way things are, this is the way things need to be done. I was never this much of a rebel growing up, ever. I was such a follow everything and listen to what everybody says and follow all the rules, or follow all the rules. This was never me growing up, right? But now I'm just like, well, everything that, if it doesn't feel right to me, I question it straight away, because I know that my intuition and my gut is what actually knows what's right for me. And just because somebody else said that that's not the way to do it, that's not the way the rules work, that's not the way the conditions work, does not mean that I give a fuck, basically. And I just choose my reality, right? As we all do. The problem is when you kind of tune in too much into what everybody else's rules and conditions are that you've been brought up on, or that you've chosen to take on. When you're too deep in that, a lot of the time, you're going to get to a stage where you don't even know how to tune into yourself, and you just take on everybody else's stuff, and these rules that don't actually need to exist will exist purely because you've allowed them to, right? I'm not saying like there's certain rules and legal things or whatever, but I mean, let's be honest, even that stuff, in the right circumstances, everyone gets it. There's people that can get around it, right? I'm not just talking about money and influence, I'm talking about lots of different ways. With the right focus, with the right attitude, with the right why, anything is possible. And so it's a good idea to kind of look back and go, okay, well, this is kind of the take home thing, like, especially if you're journaling or anything like that, is to ask yourself, what do I believe? What conditions, what rules do I have in my life? Like, what do I believe is a certain way? What do I believe certain things have to be done a certain way, for example? This is a really good thing to journal on, because, and another good one, here's another point to ask yourself is, how do I word this? Let me just think. best way to word this. Life is about. Start with that. See what comes up, right? So you write, life is about, or life is like, if you want to do like an analogy type thing, right? And this will bring up something for you around what you actually believe about life. For example, you can do it about other stuff. You can say, you know, relationships are about, or being, you know, work is about. And see what comes up, because that's stuff that'll come up, and you will see what rules you've had in place, right? Like, for example, years ago, before I kind of went on this spiritual, I guess, journey of abundance and everything like that, I used to say things like, life is about about hard work, basically. Just that, the more you put in, the more you get out, right? And while that was, you know, in certain ways, of course, that's a great belief to have, it was also at the very core a belief around basically that without hard work, you aren't worthy of having a great life, right? And this is something I talk about a lot, because it's a big one that I had to deal with to allow abundance to be easy for me, right? And this is why, you know, we're in the position that we're in now, where my husband and I are going location free in a few months. We're going to be traveling freely because my entire business is online. If you followed me for a while or anything like that and you want to know about how that works, it's the short version, and I can send you more details, but the short version is that it's 90% automated. It's all entirely online, so it can be run from anywhere in the world. There's no tech experience needed to get started. It's literally step by step. It gives you everything that you need to learn, everything that you need to know. And there's no selling involved, which is a really, really big one for me, and something that I'm absolutely passionate about. You don't have to be bothering or bugging and hassling your friends or anything to join or whatever it is. There's absolutely no selling involved. And, you know, people just like me are making 4, 5, 6 figure months, just from doing this. You know, some people within a few months, some people a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, you know, when it's 90% automated and it's creating the lifestyle that you've always wanted, whatever that is, whether it's traveling like I want to do, or whether it's just being able to provide better for your family and your kids where you are, or whatever it is, everyone's got different goals, right? But, you know, this is what it comes down to. If I had kept following the rules that I'd set up for like so long ago, about how things need to be and how I need to, the only way to, for example, have abundance and to have success and to have joy and all that kind of stuff is purely if I follow these steps, then I wouldn't be here, right? So sometimes it's a good idea to check in with yourself with questions like life is about, or life is like, and relationships are about, my work is about, whatever it is, and see what comes up for you naturally. Because when you come up with things and you find yourself saying things like life is about competition or something like that, you can really start to realize and pinpoint where it is that you're blocking yourself on, you know, further abundance in any way that you want, whatever it happens to be, right? And by abundance, I always just mean everything, just to have the kind of life that you really, really, truly want, that you're truly obsessed with. And obviously money's a part of it, because money gives you a lot of options to do a lot of stuff. But it's more than that, right? It's abundance of relationships. It's abundance of love. It's abundance of joy. It's abundance of fun. All this other stuff, right? And so fitness, health, that kind of thing, right? That's some stuff that I'm really, really ridiculously passionate about. And so when you are able to get to a stage where you can sort of tune in and go, okay, well, what do I really believe about this kind of stuff? What rules and conditions have I still got programmed inside of me that I may not have actually paid attention to? When you do that, you get the option to actually go, well, you know what? Maybe I can change this. Maybe I can decide to believe something different that's actually going to support me in getting the results I want faster. Yeah. So that's it. If you want to know more about the platform that I'm using that's, you know, supporting us in going location free and that kind of stuff, just feel free to send me through a private message. You can pop a comment below and that's fine. I'll check back later. But if you want, just send me a private message. Most people do. And I can give you the details and let you know more details about how it all works. Send you to a free webinar that we have that explains it all in a lot more detail. And apart from that, I'd love to hear what you take out of today's live stream about this one. Well, the second one today. What you take out of it in terms of, I guess, what are your thoughts about rules and conditions? And have you also had to let go of some that you used to hold on to that you realized, hey, they don't actually exist except in my own mind, and when I decide that they no longer exist, then they can go away? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Or if you're a big fan of rules still, which you might be. I love to hear everyone's different opinions. So I will leave it there. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you guys really soon. And remember to live life on purpose. Bye.